everyone, welcome back to Paper Therapy with Amy. I have a wedding layout for you today. I know some people are going to be happy because I have people saying they're looking forward to more wedding layouts. This one is going to be a little bit more casual because I have one rehearsal shot here. I do think there's probably more of these, but I'm kind of okay with the one. And then I have pictures of getting ready in the morning all the way to getting ready at the church, putting boutonnieres on and that sort of thing. So they got married in the afternoon, so I'm kind of wanting to do this as a timeline, and I think I'm going to have some strips, and they're going to go, I've done this before in a Christmas layout, they're going to go like diamond shape like this. So the biggest strips will be in the center. So I'm going to do something. This is my three boys. So I kind of want this as a focal photo. So I will be matting that one probably more than once. And I have the photo of all the guys, and two of my boys are in there. The groom and my other son is in the wedding party as well. But my third son was an usher, so he's not in the wedding party photos. So there's lots of photos of these guys together, and that's all good. I just wanted to get to really focus on the picture at home of my three boys. So this is my husband, and his mom is putting on his boutonniere. So that's the only picture I snapped of my husband, apparently. Lots of me on here. I'm putting on my mom's corsage and my son's corsage here, and this is at church. This is still at home when they're ready, and this is in the morning before. And this one is a little out of place because it should be here, but I'm gonna put it here just because it flows better. But these ones here, my husband made them crepes in the morning. This one makes me laugh so hard because my son here, his tie is so long, but he's the one that's really, really tall, so they tied it really long. But he's blowing a bubble. I don't know if you can see that he's blowing a bubble with bubble gum. And this one has his pants undone because he's tucking his shirt in nice for a picture. And so I just had to have it on there because it just makes me laugh so hard. So funny. So something like that. And then I've been using the Peaceful Days. That's what I'm planning to use for this. So I had kind of chosen these two out. But I wanted it to be more of a masculine layout with a masculine feel. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of a new product. I don't know if you can remember the mix-ins that we used to have from Close to My Heart. Well, if you loved the mix-ins, then you're going to be excited because Stampin' Up has come up with Mix It Up. I think they're called Mix It Up papers or something like that. Same idea. And I just thought this one was perfect. It's kind of masculine. And some of these other ones will be perfect as well. I've got some full sheets of paper laid out here, just deciding which papers I want to cut down to have strips on. And I'm definitely thinking that the middle kind of focal photos I would like to have on this piece. So I'm going to cut it to about 5 inches. And I'll probably add a little strip to the other page as well, but I'm going to start with 5 inches here on the right-hand page. I cut this lighter blue piece to 3 1/4, and then on the end, the one with the sprigs, I'm going to cut that one a strip of 3 1/2. My photos are all 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 or 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So they're either the rectangle or the square. I really like how this is coming together, and I want to be able to overlap each piece of paper. So I want a little extra piece of this paper with a little chevron kind of stripe on it to go to the other side of the layout, just so that it kind of continues over. And then I can overlap this floral paper onto it. So I'm going to cut some of this floral paper. I'm going to cut another, I think, 3 1/4 inch strip. Then I have to decide what my last few little pieces are going to be. And I decide to go with, I do audition that chevron piece, but I decide to go with that one with the sprigs on it. That's on the very far right. And then I'm going to add one more, which is the rehearsal photo. And that one's going to be on the light blue paper. That is the gist of the basic layout. I do have to find a title, which I find in the workshop. I find a title written on a circle, which is Good Times. And I'm thinking about putting it down in the bottom right now. I haven't decided that quite yet though, so I'm gonna be moving things around until I decide what I want. I also tugged this picture over because it's the day before, so I thought, what if I add a little bit of patterned paper, another strip in there? And I really end up liking that. So I add strips in between more of these panels. And on the layout that I did for Christmas, I really roughed up these panels and had edges rolled over and torn. This time I'm going for more of a tidy look. I love that I was able to use so many of the different patterns in this layout, but it's not overwhelming. I'm sure that has to do with them being in the same color family, but also some of them are just little bits of paper. I did want my photos to stand out just a little bit more, so I brought in some mats. I brought white ones and Secret Sea colored mats. And these are just the photo placeholders that come in the kits. I keep them all together so that I'm able to just use them whenever I need them. I tried out a little frame around this, and I think it really amps up the elegance and classiness of this layout, which is what I'm going for with it being a wedding layout. So I'm going to start gluing down on Harbor paper or Secret Sea. I believe this is Harbor from Close to My Heart though. And I have a really fun idea for the white. I'm still going to add the white paper. And this way I can save myself from having 2 layers of cardstock, and I can kind of conserve some of my white paper. You can also see here that I cut my circle from in behind the where the picture is going to be. I do that more often if I have a mat and I know for sure that the photo is going to cover that all the way up. I will cut something from underneath there that I know I'm going to use. Either maybe it's leaves or sprigs or shapes. I hadn't used any of this paper pack yet, so I had no little pieces in the envelope. If I have little pieces, then I'll cut it out of that, but I didn't have any, so I really wanted to be able to conserve those big chunks that I had left. I doubled matted the photo of my 3 boys just to bring a little more presence to it on the page, and it has a layer of that floral blue paper in behind it. It's funny because when I got this Mix It Up paper pack, the one sheet I wasn't crazy about is that floral one, and it's yellow. It's quite yellow on the back, so I was like, oh, I don't like that one, but I like all the other ones, and here I am using it. In my Beautiful Gallery series, I added some embossing to the background of my layout. It's something that can be a bit tricky to do because obviously you can only emboss smaller pieces of paper. But I found it made for a very elegant background on the layout. So I'm going to try that here as well. And I'm going to show you in just a moment how I'm going to achieve that look. This is also a great thing to keep in mind when you're trying to make a frame style layout, but you only have one sheet left of whatever paper you want to have in the background. This way you can do it with one sheet of paper, but you do have to make sure your pictures go from one end to the other. So what I'm going to do here is cut a 4-inch strip. I measured twice to make sure I had it right. And then I'm going to be able to tuck that strip. I think this is 4 by 7. I'm going to be able to tuck that strip in behind there, and you will never know that this doesn't go completely, the white paper doesn't go completely behind. And that's just a great way to create a frame style layout. The other fun thing about this is now I have small enough pieces to emboss, so I can make a pattern in the background. So I'm going to show you how I did that in just a moment here. I'm just about ready to start embellishing here. I'm just going to show you how I have embossing folders previously from Close to My Heart, and they have a slit in them. I actually did cut a slit in one of my Stampin' Up ones, and that did work. You can also do it from both ends if you have a 6-inch one, that you do this and then you line it up the other way. you just kind of slide it in between here until you feel it pull into those, to make sure I have it the right way. Yes. Until you feel it, like you kind of can feel it lock into those spots. And once it's locked in there, it won't move. And then you just roll it through again to get the other side. So I don't actually need the full 12 inches because I'm covered up right over here, but I'm gonna just slip that under there. And this way I could emboss the background. If there is a gap here, I'm gonna cover that with embellishments if possible. Otherwise I can cut a new one. But this way, you can use an embossing folder as a background, which you cannot do. You can't roll a 12 by 12 paper through your embossing folder, at least not mine. And the other thing is that I'm saving the white paper by just kind of hiding it in the back here. So there's a couple of reasons why I decided to do that. And I have a lot of this paper. This is actually the old, our old Harbor paper from Close to My Heart, and I have a lot of it. So I'm kind of trying to go through my Close to My Heart paper, so I decided to use it in the background. When it's right against each other, it's not a perfect match, but you'll see when it's just a frame around the whole page, it'll be fine. All right, we have to lift this up a little bit. I glued too much of it down. And possibly this one as well. I didn't want to make you watch me tugging that all apart, but you can see I've got it down here, and then I'll just cut that excess off after, and I'm gonna do the same with this bottom one. I have a little gap going on here above the picture of them at the rehearsal, but I'm gonna cover that up with this title. And then there's gonna be an embellishment cluster kind of in and around the title here as well, and it's gonna continue underneath that first photo there in the row. Then I'm going to also add some embellishments to the bottom where I'm going to put the journaling that I just laid down there. That journaling spot was a square from the punch out sheet that comes in the Peaceful Garden workshop, and I just cut it into a circle with a die. I've cut a few other circles from different patterned papers, and I also have cut some leaves from Vellum and from green, and I have a little bit of sparkly leaves, kind of. I'm going to stay away from flowers for this layout, other than the flowers that's in that one blue paper, simply because it's more of a masculine theme this time. So as I said, most of these pictures are from the morning of the wedding. Just the one is from the night before. That's the one I just placed there. The other pictures are all, the wedding time was 2:30 in the afternoon. So we just spent the morning, we relaxed. We had a glass of wine or two, and the guys all got ready here at our house. And at some point I went and washed and dried and curled my hair all. And, you know, it was just a really relaxing, nice morning with the boys. And in the one picture there, you can see them all sitting at the table eating. I love that picture. Of course, my middle son had to wear a red shirt. Like, didn't he get the memo of what we were supposed to be dressing in for this layout? Anyways, they are all having crepes. My husband is a crepe maker. It's his like specialty. It's one of the few things he cooks, other than if it's on a smoker or a barbecue. And he made crepes. They're Ethan's favorite breakfast, and so he made a double batch, and these boys were all just pigging out on crepes. Then over on the far right, there is some pictures of me and my mom. I'm putting my mom's wrist corsage on. It was a little bit too big on her, so I just scotch taped it so that it would stay on her wrist. And then the very far right, my husband's kind of facing out of the layout, which I don't normally do, but because my mother-in-law is facing in, I think it's okay. And he's kind of just looking down. That is his mom putting on his boutonniere. So that was kind of a fun picture. And yeah, this is just the morning and the moments leading up to the wedding before we actually went into the auditorium of the church. I'm sure you've heard me talk before about how I tried to get a little bit of each element that I have to use in each of the clusters. So that's what I'm doing here. It can be a little bit tricky to do, but I find it's easier on a page like this that has such a limited color palette. On more colorful pages, sometimes it's easy to overpower the pictures, and that's not really what you want, right? You want to like show off the pictures. You want the embellishments to be part of the frame around the pictures. You don't want to steal the spotlight. You do want to draw attention to the title and the journaling. And it's nice to have it in this triangle and from one end of the page to the other so that it draws your eye on a path across the page. So I think this worked out quite well because it makes a few different triangles and it kind of draws you across the page, and the focal point is kind of that middle strip, but also that rehearsal picture on the far left as well. Here is the finished layout. I did add a few little wordy strips that I have in my stash, and I also added some liquid pearl dots, just a shiny pearly color, and I put a few really tiny ones on there, but I didn't want to overdo it. I love how the embossing came out on this one. It's not super noticeable because it's white on white, but it is definitely adds some pizzazz and some elegance to the page. I really hope you like how this one came out. Let me know down in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and hit that thumbs up for me. Thanks for watching. Bye.